Hello and welcome back to the Vault. I'm the Gap Major and this is Wales Weekly. Wales Weekly is your weekly news video which covers off news of the game in the week past and the week future, but also covers off some of my speculations and channel admin. So this week we have the French warships Tech Tree Tier 527 currently discounted, and next week we will have the Soviet/Russian ships Tier 527 being discounted. So if you're taking advantage of those Tech Tree discounts, then all fair warn what you're getting next week. Now, also, this is the last week in which you will be able to purchase any of the Warhammer 40k commander stuff, or the crates, or the ships, or whatever they got in the store. So that's quite interesting. So that's this week only. Furthermore, HMS London is available as a big bundle pack in the store. Again, I don't really think it's worth it unless you're going after the flag. Otherwise, most of the stuff there you could just pick up for cheaper, unless you really wanted the whole lot. Next week, whether there'll be another premium ship bundle available, not quite sure. And what it will be, again, no idea. It has to be completely admitted that the amount of news that we are getting from World of Warships Legends community managers / team is pretty much diddly squat. Is the best way to put it. We haven't had a reasonable notification on any of their social media systems since the 5th of January, so it's pretty much running dry. However, with today being 1 week from the expected release of the patch notes, it's expected that we will see a teaser of some form, very much like we did with the USS Benham, with the French destroyers, the Italian cruisers, and things like that. So, fingers crossed, we could see something later today, probably circa 1700 hours GMT, I guess you could say. So it'd be interesting to see what that is. If any of you guys have your own speculations, however, I guess my big speculation is going to be aircraft carriers, let's be honest. One thing I have noted when I was scrolling around was I did manage to find a little bit of feedback from the community managers regarding ranked and how the community has been responding to it. And they have said that this season has proven to be very unpopular with the vocal part of the player base. I can confirm that is very true. So it's interesting to see that they are aware that this has probably been the most unpopular season of ranked that they have done. They confess that the queue times are indeed not the best of all seasons. Therefore, basically, they are saying the queue times are longer, or among the longest they have had. And they've also said that the limiting the number of the sizes of the teams and the number of destroyers per teams is more to do with probably the slowly reducing number of players which are actually playing ranked. So whether they're going to address ranked and change it in the future, I hope they do. What changes they could do, I think there's a lot of different opinions floating around. That's the thing. But I think what most people would like to see is it to be a little bit less grindy. I mean, I think the 5v5 format is actually quite nice. The limitation of it only being a single DD, I think you could potentially lift that to 2. I think that wouldn't be too bad in my honest opinion, but they've limited it to 1. Fair enough. But yeah, I think if I was going to tweak ranked, I'd say keep it 5v5. You know, that keeps the turnover quite quick. Lift the restriction of number of DDs to 2. I think they should make it that if you are the best player on the losing team, then you don't lose a star. But then maybe make something where, like, kind of, if you're in a division or on the losing team and one of your players comes top, then you both lose a star. The reason why I say that is actually not well, being top player on the losing team and losing a star is actually quite nice from a perspective as playing as a division, because if you and a buddy say we're only going to play together, that's how it's going to be, you progress and at the same speed. So that means if you lose, you both go back, and that is actually, it sounds really stupid, that's actually been nice. Because it means that we're working together. Whereas in previous seasons, one of us will go ahead and make, if we're finished ranked first, and the other person's then got to play catch up and play a couple of solo games. So I kind of think losing a start as the top player on the losing team is actually nice if you're playing in a division. However, if you're playing solo, that's not nice. So whether they could try and factor in that if you're playing solo, you got a better chance of keeping a star on the losing team. Whereas if you're playing in a division, you can't. I mean, I'm sure that that's probably not going to be a popular idea, but that's basically just been a little bit of my personal experience of it, I guess you could say. Apart from that, not really too much going on. Like I've said, they've been very quiet, possibly building up to something big. Maybe, maybe not. So that basically covers off the news of the game. In all honesty, there's not much really left to do. So let's move on to a little bit of intriguing stuff that we have. It's worth noting that going into concept, I guess you could say, on the World of Warships PC version of the game, and the reason why I'm covering this is potentially we might see this in the future, is a alternative German destroyer tech tree in which it focuses on almost 6-inch gun destroyers, which have very accurate rounds, very powerful armor piercing shells. However, the HE shells are kind of like average. They have decent German sonar. However, they do not have smoke generator. So it's very like a French destroyer with really good hydro and very good AP. They also have quite good armor, and the torpedoes good reload time, decent speed, but average range and damage. So they're really interesting. They look to be very much like mobile mini cruisers, focusing on the AP. Whether that's something that we might see come in the future, that's going to be of interest. It's also worth mentioning that the Italian battleships are going into early access on the PC version. So that means that potentially we could see Italian battleships, not soon, probably later on, whether it be later on this year or even next year. But at least now we know potentially they're on the cards. If they come into PC, which they are now, then they could come to World of Warships Legends on the console. So that's just a quite nice quick cover off of some of the things. Now, actually, just jump into the Italian battleships. So they have semi-armor piercing rounds instead of HE. Well, we don't have semi-armor piercing officially in World of Warships Legends, so we might still have HE there. Have quite a lot of guns, but not very good accuracy. Very similar to what we have with the Roma. Decent concealment, maneuverability, and armor, and potentially for us, just working on the tiers, how they do it. The tier 7 could potentially have an exhaust smoke generator, which is a very interesting consumable, especially on the battleship. So that exhaust smoke generator that you get on the cruisers, but on a battleship. That could be quite amusing, I have to confess. So that's just covering off some of the PC stuff that's happening, and what could potentially be coming over to World of Warships Legends in the distant future, I guess would be a safer way for me to say it. In regards to the channel, obviously, if you're on Patreon, keep an eye on Patreon for today's Patreon video, which will be the Karabosk, which will be tomorrow's video on the channel. Also on Patreon, there is some of the behind the scenes channel stuff where I basically show you what's going on behind the scenes before I move it on and show it to the rest of the community. So that's one of the nice little benefits. If you are on Patreon, you do get early access and a couple of bits of the behind the scenes work in progress stuff. Continuing with the channel news, Back to the Board as a channel is approaching its what I'd call official first birthday. The unofficial first birthday would have been the 7th of January, and that's basically when the channel was first set up on YouTube. However, the first video wasn't launched until January the 23rd, so I classify January the 23rd as the proper first birthday of the channel. So that means the channel will be 1 year old on this Saturday. In regards to what to do for the birthday, I'm very tempted to actually either revisit the first video on the channel or actually redo the first video on the channel. I'm not quite sure which one I want to do. I might see which one tickles my fancy the more most. Obviously the first video on the channel was the HMS Nelson review. If you want to see it, carded top right now. Now, if there's anything in addition that I could do something on the Saturday, but I'm not quite sure. I mean, doing a Q&A live stream is a tempting idea. However, that's something that I'd rather hold off until we've reached 1,000 subscribers. However, that's also going to be very soon, so I think regardless of what happens, I'll be doing a Q&A live stream or something like that, or Q&A video in the future. But if anyone has any kind of ideas what to do for the birthday of the channel, then I'd always appreciate any comments down below with any ideas. But yeah, I think that wraps up pretty much everything. Obviously, this week we've had Massachusetts review and Let's Play. That's all gone out, which has been I'm quite happy with. So that pretty much brings us up to date. If they do a decent announcement today, I'll probably launch a second video today covering that announcement. If you enjoyed this week's WoWs Weekly, feel free to give the video a thumbs up, and if you enjoy this content, feel free to subscribe, although the majority of you guys watching this are the subscribers, so let's say thank you very much for firstly watching, and also for your comments and contributions to the channel. As always, down in the description is the link to Patreon and the email address for the channel if you want to support the channel or send in any of your own personal game captures for the community spotlight video. And until next time, I'm the guy from Asia, and back to the port.